Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come to the Father but by me.
The world has come to St. Louis today to celebrate Chuck Berry's life and his remarkable music. But there's another chapter in this story that, while less known, was equally historic because it changed America for the better. Chuck Berry did more than just create hit records. He combined his artistic genius with his enormous personal courage to help break down the barriers of race, intolerance, and bigotry in this country through his music. Prior to Chuck's success on the charts, the work of most black musicians was referred to by white America as race music. But after Chuck Berry, it was just rock and roll. And rock and roll became not just the music of young America, but a worldwide sensation that is still going strong 60 years later. And while Chuck faced and ultimately overcame great hardship, he never became embittered, and he never allowed anyone or anything to rob him of his dignity or his humanity. Instead, he used that struggle to inspire him to create more, to dream bigger dreams, and to reach even more people with the transformational power of his music.
My father drove to New York. At that time, there was a disc jockey, Alan Freed. Alan Freed is the man who coined the term rock and roll. He was a radical disc jockey for the time, playing all kinds of music. When he heard Maybelline, his ears perked up. And unfortunately, in that era, to get a record like that played, you had to pay. You paid to play. It was the only way. My dad, they made a deal. Chuck knew about it. My dad drove back to Chicago. He stopped in Pittsburgh. No cell phones. He called my uncle. What's going on, my uncle said. The phone hasn't stopped ringing. People are driving us crazy over that Chuck Berry song. Alan Freed had played it 5 hours straight.
I always look forward to his calls. Hey, Jim, he'd say, do you want to go to Europe? And I would say, well, how long will we be gone? Oh, 15 days, 14 shows. My next question was, when do we leave? Meet me at Lambert tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Nothing like a good head up, but I always made it.
To be able to share the stage with Mr. Berry, it was an honor. Once a month on a Wednesday night, when he would come out of that dressing room, I would look up. I had one guy in the audience say, I noticed that you stir up. I said that I'm praying. My mother would have never thought a little kid like me from the north side is playing with one of the biggest rock and roll stars in the world. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Mr. Berry. It was an honor.
He loved his family, loved his music, and he loved St. Louis. Now, I recall one weekend at the Hilton in Vegas when Elvis came to see Chuck perform and came back the following night with Sammy Davis Jr. Now, as he was leaving, it was rumored that Elvis told his bodyguard, "You've just seen the real king of rock and roll."
Let me get out of here. But before, let me tell you, Chuck was on the road with B.B. King's in Chicago.
Back in the day, theaters, concert halls, if they allowed black people in at all, had ropes going around the seats with signs hanging down that would say, seating for white patrons only, colored seating only. And you did not cross-sit. You sat in your seat as designated by the color of your skin. And if you cross-sat, you would be arrested. That was the law. Well, when you went to see Frank Sinatra, you obeyed the rules. Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, everybody sat in their seats. But a phenomenon occurred in this country when Chuck Berry came out on stage and started playing that boogie woogie with a backbeat. It's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. White kids and black kids could not contain themselves. They bounced up out of their seats and began dancing and boogieing in the aisles together for the first time in the history of this country. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk, let me walk close to thee. Everybody help me out now. Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus, hear my plea.